So down comes the statue, and the people celebrate. And that's when it hit me. I was looking at these people, and I saw the jubilation, and I realized what I was looking at. I was looking at freedom for the first time. People who've gone their whole lives, lived under a dictator their whole lives, and never known a minute's worth of freedom. We're now at the most grassroots level, the most basic level, we're now experiencing the first taste of freedom. And I was proud of my nation. I was proud of my corps. I was proud of just being an American. That in some small way, I've had the ability to help them do that. I was proud to be part of this mission. And I tell you, as a Marine, you don't get to pick your mission. You just get to control how well you do it. But if I could pick my mission, this is the sort of thing I came in the Marine Corps to do. Bring freedom to people who've never known it. And I was proud just to be part of this. And then another thought occurred to me down there. I realized I was in my late 30s at this point. I realized I'd never known a day in my entire life when I wasn't free. And just what a special thing it is to be an American. So I'm on board. I love this Iraqi freedom mission. I love everything about it. So I'm sold. I'm in. But now we all know that knocking a statue down, that was more symbolic more than anything. There was going to be a lot of heavy lifting ahead. It's going to take more than knocking a statue down. So the following year I'd find myself in Fallujah, still doing the same mission. I'm out on something we call vehicle control point. And that's a fancy way of saying I got my tank parked in the middle of the street blocking traffic. So I got my tank out there, and a car comes up on my position. And I got down and greeted him. The man got out, he had a bodyguard with him. I went down, I greeted him, I offered him the standard assalamu alaikum, because you have to be very respectful of local culture. You have to represent your nation well. So I greeted him, he returned the handshake, and I've always been greeted warmly by Iraqi people. But I've always had a 68-ton main battle tank behind me, so for whatever that's worth. So he says, I'm the mayor of Fallujah, and I want to speak to your battalion commander. So I said, okay. He had an ID card and everything, but I just took him for his word. Nobody would claim to be the mayor unless they actually were. Who the heck would want that job? So I called the battalion commander, and he says he's on the way. He's going to meet with this guy. Because now we're starting to work. We're starting to stand up this new government, this new democratic government. We're starting to stand up a new Iraqi army. These great things that are starting in motion. But there's a lot of work here. So the mayor's waiting. He's walking around, and he's getting nervous, and he's just skittish. And he comes up to me and says, well, how long is it going to take? I said, I don't know. I work for him. He doesn't work for me. But, he'll be here. Which is better than the Iraqi way of telling him. The Iraqi way would have been, God willing. Which means I don't know. So I tell him he'll be here. And he says, well, if I stay here much longer, somebody's going to kill me. And I thought, what courage it must take to stand up. But this mayor is risking his very life just to take a position in this new government. And his bodyguard had a pistol, which is not the weapon you want to be in this current war in. You need a little bit more firepower. He's got a pistol, and he's there risking his life to guard this man. And I thought, what this guy must believe in. Because our enemy fights dirty. Our enemy over there fights dirty. When he goes off to join the police force or join the Iraqi army, they'll come after his family. They'll murder his family while he's out in training. What belief, what courage, what commitment to freedom he must have to do this, to be out here risking his life, his family's life, his entire tribe, to defend this new government. And I was proud to be an American. I was proud that we were there standing toe-to-toe with these individuals all over this freedom, and bringing freedom to my fellow man. And you don't get to pick your mission as a Marine, but if I could pick it, I would pick exactly what the Marine Corps had me doing. I love doing it. Well, he had his meeting with the mayor. Things would go south about a week later. That's when just to give you a little historical context, that's when those 4 American contractors were murdered and their bodies were desecrated and hung from the train trestle. Well, now we're going to head into that General Mattis no worse enemy part. We're going to no more Mr. Nice Guy. Now you're going to see the ugly side of what we do. So we encircled the city. The plan was we were going to completely cut it off. Cut off the city, let the civilians out, and no bad guys were coming out. They were all concentrated there. They were saying they were going to make Fallujah a graveyard for Americans. For us, that's exactly what we want them to do. In the counterinsurgency, the hardest thing to do is to find the enemy. Because the enemy has the benefit of camouflage on his side. He can move around a civilian, you don't know who he is. Well, now, if they're going to mass themselves in one place and openly fight with us, that's exactly what we want them to do. So we encircled the city. We're going to go in there and clean them up one time, right to left, top to bottom, clean up all the bad guys that we've done with. The Iraqi Civil Defense Corps, this new Iraqi army, was supposed to come to our aid. man our perimeter once we went in. When it came time for them to show up, 20 Iraqis showed up. 20. That's it. My Marines were mad. They looked at me, they said, Gunny, this is baloney. I didn't say baloney. They were mad. And I told them, I said, look, Marines, I said, if 20 guys are willing to pick up a rifle and fight for their freedom, I'll fight with them. And they said, we will too, Gunny. And truth be told, they didn't have a choice, and neither did I. But it's a lot easier to lead the willing. So we were all on board with this fight. And we went into the fight, and as I said, things went very well. The attack went exactly as we wanted to do. The hardest thing to do is to find the bad guys and the counterinsurgency, but if they want to make the mistake and come out and fight with us, that's what we do very well as Americans. So the first battle for Fallujah worked out very well in our favor as far as treating the enemy, as far as taking the enemy off the battlefield. I was pursuing them down the street. They're trying to get the heck away from the tank. They're doorway to doorway, I'm pursuing. I got a hold of the enemy, I'm not going to break contact. I'm not going to let them get away. The advantage we have over our enemy over there is, in most cases, they're poorly disciplined and they're poorly equipped. They don't have the ability to stay in a sustained fight. So I pursued. I continued down this street with them. The street got narrower and narrower. Got so narrow I couldn't even traverse my tank turret anymore. But I still got 2 machine guns up top. So I'm manning my machine gun. My loader, Lance Corporal Hernandez, manning his machine gun. We stayed in the fight. We continued down this street. I got my wingman behind me watching my 6. We continued in the fight. I'm heading up on a cross street. As we all know, tactically, it's a good place to get hit from the flanks, especially if you're on a big target like a tank. So I know I'm probably going to get hit, but no problem. I'm an M1A1 main battle tank, best tank in the world. The enemy generally uses the RPG-7, which is very ineffective against an M1A1 main battle tank. So I put my loader down below the armor line, figured we're probably going to get hit. I hunkered down, and I hit at that intersection. I tell you, it was about 1300, about 1 in the afternoon on April 7, 2004. If you'd have asked me at that moment in time, if you'd have said, Gunny, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? I'd have told you, I'm doing it right now. I'm a gunnery sergeant. I'm a tank commander. I'm a career Marine. I'm here helping people become free. This is everything in life I've ever wanted to do. This is my life right here. I'll do this forever. Well, life was going to have a change in store for me. I head into that intersection. I look to my right. There was an insurgent on the rooftop. He already had an RPG-7. He's already got it in his shoulder, and he's got a good side alignment, side picture on me. And I had a pretty healthy disrespect for our enemy's ability to shoot by this point. I used to tell my Marines, I'd say, if they're shooting at you, you're perfectly safe. If they're shooting at somebody around you, then you got cause for alarm. That's when you're in trouble. But even at this range, he's only about 50 feet away. He's got a good side alignment on me. Even these guys are probably going to hit. But no problem. I'm in a main battle tank. I got a machine gun. I figure it's a caliber 50. The building he's in might as well be made out of paper. He's not going to be able to get away. There's no cover for him in this building. My machine gun's going to shoot right through it. So I'm pretty happy about my situation right now. I'm going into my machine gun. He fires his rocket. It hits the right front of my turret. And just so I thought, no problem. I've been hit by a dozen RPGs in Fallujah. Never penetrated an M1A1 main battle tank. And this was no different. The hit exploded. Nothing. I was traversing my machine gun over, and I heard a hiss, like a snake hiss. That's the noise an RPG makes when it's cutting through the air. And this one was close, and it wasn't a real long hiss. And I heard it about a split second before I felt like I got hit in the head with a sledgehammer.